Hello everyone, I am Shelby and welcome to my channel Shimmer. My headphones are for you guys to hear me better. I don't normally do these kind of videos, but I want to talk about my experience, and by my experience I mean me and anyone that I know, um, about bird care and parasites, their health, and just keeping them laying during the winter, along with how to hatch your chicks and ducklings. From my experience, this is what I've done. You do not have to go by what I do. This is just some tips and tricks that I do. And I also have a list to keep me on track, also, which I don't normally go by. So, um, let's get into this. How to keep your chickens laying all winter. I use a light in my building, a floodlight, which is a light bulb specifically to go into a heat lamp. Some people have the issue of their birds going egg bound. I haven't had this issue with mine. We'll get into what also causes them to go egg bound later on. Make sure they have an area or a building to get out of the weather, like their coop. Mine is a building turned into a coop. So it's divided into two sections, and I will show you what that looks like. I drew up like a little schematic of it. So they have a field, they have a pen, and they have a insulated building with electricity in it. Um, they need lots of water, so every day I go out there and clean their water, make sure they have plenty of water to drink, because it takes a lot of water to keep up with egg production as well. Also, you don't want them getting dehydrated in the weather, even though that sounds silly in the winter, but it can happen. Feed. Let's talk about feed. What I use, this is what I personally use, and if you're going by a budget, in my area, we go to Royal King, because everyone else around us is very expensive. Excuse me. When it comes to feed, let me tell you, too much feed, here it is, too much feed and scrap food, like leftover food, can cause your birds to gain weight and cause egg bound. Or if you don't have enough nutrition and different varieties of vitamins and food for them, they can go egg bound. So roosters, they don't need as much calcium as hens do. So the laying food can be an issue for them, and they can die very soon, sooner than what you want. I haven't had this issue, but of course I don't feed my birds a whole bunch of the laying feed. They have a variety. But they will live about 5 years or less, and he's about almost 5 years. He's going on 4, so he's been around for a while. Felipe has also been around. He is about 3. Blue and Felipe are doing great. Because of high calcium, it causes gout and kidney failure. Sunflower oil can help them not have these issues. So what I buy is I buy a Country Road Scratch Grain. This helps keep them full, helps boost their energy. Also has seeds to help with any internal parasites, because seeds naturally get rid of worms and everything, especially pumpkin seeds. I do the whole corn, which also keeps them full. It keeps them full throughout the day, and also more energy for them. Layer pellets. So this also keeps them full. The crumble doesn't work for mine. I only go by the Country Road. I don't do Purina or anything because they poop a lot and they just stink in general. Like, it just makes it worse. Leftover food scraps and nutritional food for them, so we don't waste a lot of food here. Whatever our birds can't eat goes to our dogs. Whatever our dogs can't eat, it goes into the trash. So 99% of the time, it goes to us and the animals. Whatever's left goes in the trash, but that is absolutely, like, hardly ever happens. So let's go into their building. Um, what I do. So I know farmers around me in my area. Our state, Indiana, is pretty known for farms and corn and everything. So my state, I definitely know my state's usually like more different than other states, but all states are different and unique. But anyway, um, farmers do a poop pad. Now I do this for my chickens only. My ducks, I don't do this because they are gross. They poop a lot. So I don't do this with them. But a poop pad is where you put bedding down, they poop on top of it. And as long as it doesn't stink, you can leave it. But you don't have to do this. Once it starts stinking, start cleaning it out. Make sure they have lots of activity and they're not stressed. This is key because they can start picking at each other, hurting each other, and then they just stop playing. They can also pass away from also being too stressed. Let's see. Wormer natural seeds. You can look up the different seeds. I know pumpkin seeds work really well. Nest box. You do not need fancy nest box. You need nest material. It does not matter what fancy nest material you want to use or whatever. I know they have rubber mats. I personally use straw or leaves. They really enjoy that. Also, fake eggs keeps them from pecking their eggs and eating them. It also encourages them to use the nest box. So I have the wall nest box. I also have a tote in there. I have Tidy Cat boxes in there as well, and they do great. So a variety of boxes, which I actually have a nest box for my ducks. People say they don't use nest box. Mine do. Let's see, your age of your birds. Once they get older, they start laying less. But I know people who, well, I don't know people. I heard people is what I should say. They cycle their birds out. So like what? Every 7 years, I think it is, they go in and they basically kill all their birds that are too old, too late. Mine don't do that. They naturally die unless they absolutely have to be put down. When they're suffering, they start getting a smell. You know they're getting ready to pass, so I make them comfortable. But mine die naturally. They pass away naturally. I actually had one live in the house named Blind Betty. I actually have some videos up on that, but she lived a long time and she lived in our house because she was blind. You need to keep in mind that chickens are bred from tropical birds, so the weather has a drastic change on them. A lot of people don't know that, but the tropical chickens, I'd have to look up the name of them. I'll put the name up here somewhere. But these birds actually fly. So I don't know if anyone else knows this, but bantams, I've had bantams that actually flew. People say chickens don't fly. They can fly, fly 10 to 15 feet. Bantams, I've had them go all the way on top of my house. And we have to clip wings. I know people don't like clipping wings, but we have to clip our chickens' wings for their safety because our neighbors' dogs will kill them. And our neighbors don't like any of our birds, so we have to keep them in their pen. Otherwise, they wouldn't need clipped. Same with my ducks. Let's see. Your breeds of your birds, obviously. A lot of people don't know this, but what type of birds you have in your area also has an effect on if they can handle the weather. Let's see. Look up what they can eat because a lot of stuff can help boost their immune systems, which we'll get into a little bit more. Duck care, from my experience, we'll go into ducks. Mine don't lay all year. I have mallards and pecans, and I personally don't want my ducks laying all year because that's too hard on them. I noticed their feed, hold on here, I get scratch. They get scratch grain, country road. They get whole corn, country road. They get all flock Nutrena Nature Wise is what I give them, which is natural, no medication in it. You don't want medication. It can hurt them. It could do a lot of other things to them. I don't use Purina because it stinks and it just doesn't do well with mine. and they poop a lot. So I do the all flock Neutrogena. Now, ducks gain weight easy. They can't have a lot of salt. You want to look up what they can eat. So lots of vegetables and stuff. What they eat is what they're gonna taste like. Um, so I've had duck. If you cook it right, it tastes wonderful. Or it tastes similar to chicken. One of my egg buyers, customers, actually cooked one. It was wonderful with orange sauce. So if you're not into that and just want it as pets, then that's fine too. But in my area, it's pretty typical to eat your birds and livestock and everything. A lot of people do it. Most people I know do it. Okay, make sure they have water and everything, and heat lamps. My ducks have to have heat lamps in the winter. I actually about lost one last year. It was my male Drake. And he about froze to death, actually. My Pekins do great, but my Mallards do absolutely horrible because they migrate. This year also, weather has a drastic change. This year, it has been bad. It was super cold, 18 degrees, and then it hopped up to 50. I actually lost 3 of my younger Mallards. I lost 3. I about lost another one, but I used medicine, which we will go over in just a bit. So heat lamps, and they actually roost. Ducks roost, whether people agree with that or not. Mine roost. I put boards in there so they can roost up off the ground. Otherwise, they can get frostbite and everything else, and they just get sick easier. So mine roost. Make sure they can bathe and a place to dry off. A lot ducks bathe a lot, and also they get feathers stuck in their nose. They get dirt stuck in their nose. They need a lot of water. So I have a pool out there and rubber tubs I got from Rural King that are 15 gallons. Works great. They need a dry area. They need to get out of the cold. Ducks don't do well in the cold. I actually have a tarp and netting over there to keep my mallards safe and dry. I also have a dog house for my Pekins that they never use, but it's there, and they have areas to get up off the ground as well. So ducks normally migrate, so the cold can sadly make them pass away and give them frostbite, like I said. They don't always lay eggs unless you get egg laying feed, but I don't get that. Watch for parasites. Ducks don't normally get parasites, and they're usually pretty good about their immune systems, but they can get mites or lice, but that's kind of rare. I haven't had any of that for my ducks. They poop a lot, so I clean their pen every single day. I clip wings of them so they don't fly away. I also put zip ties on so I know who's the parent and what gender they are. Also, I know what duck's mine. So blue for boy, pink for girl for the parents. I also use various bands so I can keep count of their kids. Also with my chicks, I did the same thing, so I don't have it inbreeding. Supplies to use for sickness or parasites. So Vaseline, regular Vaseline, is great for leg mites, dry areas of the bird. So that helps a lot. Oil like veggie oil, corn oil, olive oil, any, you can get cheap oil, and just dip their legs in it. That will kill the mites. Their legs are obviously going to get really dirty, but that is okay. It just smothers them. VetRx Poultry Aid is for colds or illnesses, small ones, you know, not very really bad viruses. So this helps keep their immune system up. If they're a little sick, a little droopy, give this to them in their water. I sometimes put this a little bit in their mouth. You can put it around their nose, put it under their wing. I put some in their food sometimes. That's what I did for my other 2 ducks. It helps with colds, scaly legs, and eye worms, apparently. You can get this at any farm store normally. Epsom salt bath, warm water helps hens with egg bound. Also, you want to keep them in a dark area to rest away from everyone so they can pass the egg. Hopefully they will. Pumpkin seeds are natural, like I said. Also, red pepper flakes are great for this. Make sure your feed has, I'm going to probably say that's horrible, Flubenvet if you want to have that in your food for worms. A clean coop prevents mites and lice. So, like I said, the poop pad, I haven't really had any issues with mites. But I also sweep it all out, so it's all good to go there. Primo poultry spray works for mites, flies, fleas, and lice. Diatomaceous earth, I probably said that horrible. I actually have used this. I use this also for mites, and it has some calcium and benefits for that. A lot of people don't use it, but in my area it's pretty typical. It used the food grade safe. It is safe for humans and for all animals, usually. You can add it to the food, dust their coops, dust your chickens, don't let them breathe it in. You can put it in their dirt holes. Just don't breathe it in. So basil, garlic, cinnamon, cayenne pepper, rosemary, sage, thyme, oregano, ginger. These help boost the immune system, respiratory, egg-laying production, blood circulation, and can help prevent parasites. So you feed this in small quantities, and it will help them a lot. Let me get the page here. If your bird's severely sick or injured, you can normally call a vet. A lot of our vets around here sometimes deal with a lot of birds, like bumblefoot and all that, and compacted crops. So you just have to call yours and see. Some people can do bumblefoot at home. I haven't had this issue at all because I keep an eye out in my pens for plants and stuff and objects that can severely hurt them. So hatching chicks and ducks. I've heard ducks are hard to incubate. I haven't had any issues because I hatched. I used to have 19 and I started with 6. So ducks incubate at temperature 98 to 99. Ducks incubate for about 28 days. Once hatched, leave them in an incubator for 24 hours. Again, this is my experience. Humidity in an incubator, 45 to 55%. Humidity for the first 25 days, 65% for the last 3 days. I don't normally go by this, honestly, but for whenever they go by hatching, they normally do fine. Incubated chicken eggs at temperature 98 to 99 degrees. They hatch at 21 days. Leave them incubated for 24 hours after hatching so they are completely dry. Incubate humidity 45 to 50. Percent humidity for 1 to 18 days. For the last 3 days, you can do 65%. I do about 70, which is fine too. Vaseline will be your friend, regular Vaseline for hatching. My eggshells are thick, so I actually, whenever they hatch, I have to help them because I lost one and I didn't know this. I felt horrible afterwards. So you have to very gently crack the egg if your eggshells are really thick and apply some Vaseline. I always poke a little hole. Sometimes I don't even need to do this, but 99% of my eggs, I had to do this and help them. Only do this if you absolutely have to, like I did. The Vaseline helps keep the egg from drying out, so that helps tremendously. Actually, I had a duckling hatch that was way too early. It bled quite a bit and I had to stop the bleeding, and once it scabbed over, I put Vaseline over where the egg sac used to be, and it did grow fine, but it was kind of slow compared to the others. Candle your eggs. So I candle my chicken eggs. You can candle them at 5 days, 9 days, 13 days, and 17 days. At 18 days, you stop rotating this. The chick is ready to emerge. On the 21st day, sometimes they can hatch a day or two later, in my experience. I continue to rotate them, but twice a day by hand. Duck eggs you candle at 5 to 7 days, 12 to 14 days, 19 to 21 days. At day 25, stop rotating because the duck is ready to hatch. But I typically rotate them, and check on them. I still rotate them, so that's just from my experience. Chicks and duckling care, again, my experience, or some people I know. I have sanitized, warm, dry tub form. I also have a cage. You can see those in my videos. A heat lamp, red bulb for the newly day olds. So they're calm, and as they get older, I separate them once the other ones get too ratty for the baby, the younger ones, and they get a regular white light. So I separate them once they get too rowdy, like I said, for the day olds. Once they get a little bit older, I start separating. So you're going to need several different pins, at least from my experience, unless you're doing a whole batch. I did mine in different intervals. So they can pass naturally just overnight. Some have heart issues, normally the roosters, so they pass, sadly, and this is not your fault. You will need a few tubs, like I said, as they get older. You feed chicks medicated feed. If they are with ducklings, they have to have non-medicated. I feed my Neutrogena Nature-Wise Chick Starter from Royal King. Lasts me a long time. It's cheaper for a 40-pound bag. This is the only brand I use because Purina doesn't work, or any other brands. They stink and everything. I clean the pens every 2 to 3 days. Clean food and water. You need that constantly. Introduce them to the coop of my flock, or whatever, to my flock in the coop. Make sure they have all their feathers, by the way. Make sure they have a heat lamp still, and a bigger pen. So they can separate and be safe. Keep them in a pen separate from everyone else, but they still are in the coop to socialize, so they get used to them. So for about 2 weeks they can mingle, and then with the others at 2 weeks I let mine out, and they mingle. If they are going to peck at them, just make sure they don't get hurt, and if they're too rambunctious, put them back in the pen, because there is going to be a pecking order. It's hard to watch, but it happens, and they're going to take a bit to get used to going to the coop, so you'll have to show them. Again, weather change is a huge deal with your birds. I haven't lost any chicks, but like I said, I did lose ducks because we went from 50, 45, 50 to 18 degrees, and then it heated back up to 45 today. So I hope this helps you guys a lot, and I just wanted to give you some tips and tricks, and this is what I do for my birds. You can also look at other people's videos, but this is what I do. Also, I put my feed in metal trash cans. People put theirs in freezers. Make sure they're in bags when you do this, because mice can get in there, it molds, and you could have 30 plus mice in there, because we did this with my husband's parents did this with cows, and they had 30 mice, probably more, in that freezer. So I hope this, guys, helps you, and hopefully you'll have eggs this winter. So let me know. This is a 0 days old egg. As you can see, you get to see the yolk, and it's clear. This is a 8-year-old egg. As you can see, veins and a baby. 13 days old. It is darker, and as it progresses, it will get completely black whenever it gets close to the hatching date. This is 15 days old, and this is what a dead embryo looks like. It has a red ring around it, and it's not developing anymore.